episode 4 of our new series, Dangerous Prayer. My name is Allison. You guys know me pretty well by now, but today I have Caitlin on here. She works here at Nativity. I'm going to let her introduce herself a little bit.
Hey everyone, I'm Caitlin DeGrucci. I serve here on staff as Director of Missions, and I am on Emily's team here.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for being here today, and freeing up your schedule a little bit to be able to join us. I think this is your first time, right, on podcasts?
This is my first time on a video podcast.
Okay, so you've done audio, just not video.
I did an audio one. I did a rebuilt podcast with Tom.
Okay, that's awesome. So I'm sure we'll see you back here sometime. I am the host for this series, but I've been on a couple different podcasts before. So the first week we talked all about how to effectively construct your prayer to make it more effective when you're talking to the Lord. Week 2, we spoke about taking what the good things that God put in your heart and portraying them in the world by using your heart and your mind to do so. And then last week we were here with Emily, and we talked all about praying in the bad times. So it's something we all need to focus on. But to go to the opposite of that, this week we're talking all about praying in the joyful times. And it sounds like something pretty easy, but some of us kind of forget to give thanks to the Lord when we're going through good times. So I know that when my life is going really, really well, I'm so quick to say, thank you, God, and tell people God did this. It's all because of him. But I don't really take that second to say, hey, thanks. You know what I mean? When someone does something for you, you don't always go, oh, thank you. But with God, it's so important because he's such a strong and important person in our life. We have to be there to say thank you when he does something great for us. Do you feel like you pray more when you're going through a bad time or a good time? What do you think you're closer to God with?
Oh, I definitely think I pray more when I'm going through a bad time, when I'm going through a darker season. That's when I feel like I pray constantly. I'll be driving in the car, I'll be pouring my cup of coffee, and sometimes it's just help me get through the day, help me get through this season. Lord, hear my cry.
Right.
All of that. I think in the good times, what I tend to do, and maybe other people can relate to this, is when everything's going well, you can sometimes forget to still...
Yeah, you kind of step away from it.
Right.
You get comfortable.
Yes, comfort, yes.
Yeah,
perfect.
Definitely. So I think, I think you give him credit, obviously, for, the good things that are happening. I think a lot of us do. But do you remember to thank him when those good things happen? I know you say that, you kind of in the morning will say, hey, thanks, but do you think that you're very strict with that, or do you kind of forget to do that sometimes?
So that is actually a practice I would say I came into somewhere within the last 5 to 6 years. I was actually listening to a female preacher. Her name is Joyce Meyer, and she was talking about, she made this analogy about how with our parents give so much, and sometimes we forget to tell them thank you.
Yeah.
But when a child goes to their parent and says, thank you, thank you, Mom and Dad, for your support. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for, helping me get through college, or helping me, with buying a new home, or whatever it is. That is really transformative to that parent. And parents give us unconditional love, and God gives us unconditional love.
Absolutely.
And so that really shifted in me. So I try to be very mindful of giving thanks to God for this day, my blessings, my health, and whatever else I might think of at that time, so that I just go to him in grace and gratitude, and don't just go to him when I'm feeling down and sad and need something.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And I think for myself, it's definitely something that I need to improve on. And I know I've talked to friends and things that are I really need to get better at that. And I think for comparison to me, that someone had told me is to think about it as a relationship, whether it's a friend, a parent, a coworker, a significant other. When you have that relationship with someone, you can tell them anything, bad news, good news, something random. You could talk to them about every single thing that goes across your mind. And that's how God is. He is that person that is going to be there no matter what. I spoke about it a little bit last week with Emily, where you can treat God poorly. And there's an analogy actually that my friend brought up the other day. He said, take a $100 bill, right? So figure you have a $100 bill in your hand. You take it, crumple it up, throw it on the ground, cover it in mud, kick it, it falls down the street, gets run over by a car, which I also got hit by a car, which is kind of funny. But anyways, so you pick up that $100 bill after all that happens to it, and it's still worth $100.
Yep.
It might look a little different, but it's still worth the same amount as before all that stuff happened to it. And that's the same thing with God. You can forget about him, neglect to talk to him, forget, miss mass, forget to attend small group, things like that. But he's always going to be there for you no matter what. He's that friend that you're always going to have. But to be able to, fully trust him and rely on him, you have to be able to build that relationship with him stronger and stronger. And that comes with talking to him in the good times and the bad times too. And he is that person to, have a shoulder to cry on, to talk to. He is going to be your celebrator. Like, when something good happens, he's going to celebrate it with you. When something bad happens, he's going to be there to help you through it. And with having that relationship, you're going to be stronger, in your faith, obviously. And I think you're going to be stronger going through all those events in life, whether they're good events or bad events as well. And there's one verse here I wanted to reference. It's from Psalm 16, 8 through 9. And it basically says how, wait for it to come up here, that God is at your right hand. I shall not be shaken, therefore my heart is glad and my whole being rejoices. And a good point of this is the fact that, like, your heart is glad and you become more joyful, more loving and compassionate when you have that relationship with him, and when you're able to feel stronger and connected more to him as well. So like we started talking about in the beginning, we almost talk to him more in the bad times. I know you had said that you do that as well, and I think I do too. But we have to remember that when we're in those bad times, we have to remain hopeful and faithful within him, because here on earth, it can kind of seem hopeless at times. You know what I mean? You might have, you might not feel like you have anyone to talk to, or you might feel like whatever you're going through is never ending, but it's not. Things come out of it. Your pain has a purpose. And when you go to the Lord about that, you're going to feel so much stronger about what you're going through, and you're going to have a reason for it too. So, do you, like, we kind of already asked this question, but, like, when you're going through a bad time, and, you said that you pray a lot through those bad times, you speak to him more often, when that subsides, is it, like, in an instant where you go, oh my gosh, thank you? Like, have you ever had a moment where you've been going through a bad thing, and you finally realize it's done, and you ultimately just automatically go, thanks, God, and you talk to him, like, right away?
Yeah. So this is kind of a heavier topic, but I had a family member who had a battle with cancer. And when she was first diagnosed, I went to God a lot. I was very confused on how this was happening to her. It was a pretty rare cancer, and the diagnosis was grim from the beginning.
Right.
And she was still young at the time. It was my aunt 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I prayed a lot. And then all of a sudden she got better. And she was in the clear for a few months.
Wow.
And I just remember just being so grateful and thanking God. And unfortunately, it did come back, and it came back and rapidly. She declined and she's now with the Lord. But during that season, I was still thanking God for giving us more time with her.
Yeah, giving you those good months.
And even her attitude was the same. Like, it's all right. Like, I had 18 more months than they thought I would have.
Right.
And I got to spend time with you all and connect with you all and say goodbye.
Right.
And all of those things. So it was one of those seasons where it's still not a great season. It's hard to lose someone that you love.
Of course, absolutely.
Prematurely, but to know that God, gave her that grace and that peace to get through that season and transition in a good way.
And do you think that it had to do anything with her relationship with the Lord? Because I know, like you said, you were praying, and then she started to get better, and, you were ultimately thankful, and that might have come from your prayers. But do you think that her relationship with the Lord had anything to do with that?
Oh, she went deeper. Oh, she absolutely went deeper.
Yeah.
And what I find is interesting is that she never cried out in despair to the Lord.
Right.
She understood, okay, this is just the journey that he's chosen for me.
Right.
And she had this amazing peace about her. But she was grateful. She really was grateful for that extra time. That is so
sweet. She seems like a very sweet person, and she definitely seems that, even though she might have lost her strength throughout her battle, that she had it in her heart the entire time, from what you're saying.
Oh, absolutely.
That's amazing. That's such a good thing. And I think, when you pray to the Lord, sometimes I'm sure sometimes you kind of think it out. Maybe you write things down, but sometimes it's just a simple conversation you have with him. Kind of like when you're like right now, we're having a conversation. It's very simple, and we have all these things we want to talk about and touch on, and it's kind of like talking to a friend. You know what I mean? Like, when you have good news, you bring it up to them. When, they've been helping you out, you say thank you and things like that. And, you want to be able to talk to God that same way, say thank you, and, bring up your struggles, bring up prayers for other people as well. And do you have any recommendations you give someone to strengthen that, prayer relationship with the Lord?
I would say, I think sometimes people think you need to have an appointment with God to talk to him.
Yeah.
So granted, personally, I am trying to work on having a better regimen, and
Okay.
I'm continually trying to get into prayer journaling. That's just, I'm just one of those people. I start it, I do it for a week or two, and then I need to get back into it.
It happens sometimes.
But I'm the kind of person where, if I want to speak to God, I speak to God.
Sure.
I might be driving down 83 going home from work, and I'm like, okay, God, let's talk about this.
Yeah, definitely. I know, like, for myself, every morning on my way to work, I drive down 83. I have about a 40-minute drive, and it's, 4 o'clock in the morning, typically, peace and quiet. You turn the radio off, and it's just a moment you have with the Lord. You don't have to ask him for permission to talk. You know what I mean? You don't have to set it. I mean, I set a time every day, but you don't have to. That's something you have to do.
Right.
And I think, there's a couple things that I'd recommend to be able to, pray more effectively. Have you ever heard of the ACTS acronym when it comes to prayer?
Yes.
So the first one here is adoration. So beginning your prayer, you want to make sure that you give God thanks. You praise him, you honor him for who he is and what he's done for you. And that is the perfect way to start off a conversation or, prayer as well. The second thing here is confession. So we all sin. We all deal with negative emotions. It's something that we all go through. It's something you can't battle. You can't get out of it. And you have to be able to come to terms with it, right? So you have to be able to honestly and openly deal with that sin in your life. And that's the second part here. The third part is thanksgiving. So not just saying thanks to God, but thanks to what you're given. Thanks to what's around you in the world that you surround yourself in, and being able to, kind of elaborate your gratefulness that you have for what's happened, recently, what you're grateful for and thankful for within your current life that you're going through. And the last thing here is supplication. And that is praying for others' needs too. I know you work in a church, so I'm sure people ask you, can you say a prayer for me? Or you probably offer it as well. I know I offer to pray for people all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so important because it doesn't just show your strength, but it helps others, gain strength in their prayer and their relationship with the Lord as well when you're praying for them. So out of those 4, what do you think that you find the easiest? Like, which one? Adoration, confession, thanksgiving, supplication. Which one do you think you kind of relate the most to?
Let's see. I actually think with supplication, sometimes it's actually easier for me to go pray over someone or pray for someone
Than to pray for yourself.
than to pray for myself. Yes, absolutely. Which is ironic, right? Because, but I have so many people who I'll be talking about an issue and they go, okay, well, did you pray about it? And I go, oh, no.
Yeah. It's kind of like, practice what you preach. You know what I mean? You tell people and you assist people with praying, but then you don't always do it yourself.
Yep.
And I think, like, I struggle with that too. But I think, like, confession is probably my hardest ones. And I think in general, a lot of people struggle with that because you don't want to bring up those bad things and those negative emotions. But I think I do a good job at thanking the Lord, praying for other people, and, being grateful for what I'm surrounding myself with. But I have a hard time bringing up the negative parts of myself. I think we all can kind of agree with that.
Yeah. And sometimes it's hard because sometimes you feel like when you go to God and you confess, you're like, okay, I keep doing this.
Now I can't really talk to him about it anymore. Yeah, definitely. And so I think I would like, each of you that are watching to take one of those 4 out of the ACTS acronym and work on it, improve and being able to be more comfortable with praying, use that acronym, and we will link it actually below in the video, the way you can use it during your prayer as well. So being able to use those 4, kind of tips, we like to say, during prayer, and being able to, pray in the joyful and the bad times, strengthens that relationship with the Lord like we've been talking about. So that's all we kind of have for you guys today. Caitlin, thank you for joining us, and we hope that our conversation here reveals your conversation in prayer. It was nice seeing you guys, and we'll see you next week.